All right, welcome back, friends. This is Highway Howie. We're going to ride today on what I think is the best road in America, at least of the roads I've ridden. And I've ridden all the way from Big Sur all the way to the tail of the dragon and everywhere in between. And this road right here is just unbeatable. Wait till you see the beauty of this road. There's vineyards everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's eateries, vineyards, there's live music. Can you see that sign there? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, live music. This is the east side of Seneca Lake, the deepest of the Finger Lakes. Someone said it's 900 feet deep at this deepest point. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it could be. And I'm super fond of this lake. I grew up on this lake and spent a lot of time in these vineyards right here. And this is what they call the Seneca Lake Wine Trail, for obvious reasons. But its beauty is just, it is unbeatable. I have been everywhere, and in my opinion, this is the most beautiful area in the world, and right here in the Finger Lakes region in New York. And this particular road is, in my opinion, the most beautiful part of it. And when the sun sets, and I will do a video on the sun setting here, and my favorite spot to see a sunset here, you can't believe the utter sheer beauty of that sunset. And there's bed and breakfasts here. It was Indian country through here. We have lots of Indian villages and things like that have been memorialized with placards, and priests came through and created churches, early churches here. We had early settlers in this area. After the Revolutionary War, some prominent soldiers from the area, or maybe other areas, were given tracts of land through here, and they developed it quite nicely. And it's just a lovely, beautiful ride along this unbelievably beautiful lake. And this is 414 out of Lodi, south out of Lodi, New York, down into Watkins Glen, famous for the raceway. And sad to say I haven't been to a race there in ages, but here I am, right in the heart of the Finger Lakes. I need to remedy that. There's some buddies that are camping there almost every race, and they bug me, and I'm doing something. So we're going to have to get our lines so they're crossing and make that happen. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Maybe motorcycle camping at Watkins Glen Raceway. That sounds right. Yeah, we're just cruising down through here. I'll kind of pan my head side to side as we go. I hope it doesn't make you dizzy. And just so you can take the scope of this place in. It's just rolling down a valley. We're like on the lip halfway down the valley to the lake, and there's a microclimate here. The lake holds heat through the winter and allows these grapes to survive the harsh winters here and to grow the next year. Otherwise, they'd have severe bud damage, they call it, where the buds that produce the new vines and the new grapes, they get frozen out if it's too far away from the lake and too cold for too long. And that's prevented here with these vineyards being halfway down this valley. And this is a glacial lake. It was cut by glaciers here, these Finger Lakes. And this is the deepest one of them. And I, of course, am located right between Seneca and Cayuga Lake, right in the center, in a place called Ovid. And, of course, that's not the way you pronounce that historically. It's Ovid, but we'll call it Ovid. This is a little charming town called Valois, which probably is pronounced Valois, but here we've called it Valois as far as I can remember. And it's just full of vineyards and lakefront. And it's relatively new, this 50-mile-an-hour sign. It used to be just straight 55 through this whole 414. Now they've kind of divided it up between 50 and I think 45 as we get closer to a pretty big gas station up here called Dandy. And Dandy gas station is my, there's a nice fruit stand there, is my go-to coffee shop when I'm riding out this way. They have, they grind the coffee beans. This little gas station grinds the coffee beans right in front of you and makes the coffee. And I don't know if they nitrogen induce it, but it sure tastes like it. And it's just a fantastic cup of coffee. And I call it my coffee shop. I don't get gas there, ironically. They don't have non-ethanol gas, but they have ethanol coffee. So that's what we get along with. There's a little place called the Scale House there. There's Rasta Ranch Vineyards. They got a hippie vibe to them if you get this way and visit. Kind of Grateful Dead feel. Lots of tie-dye, and they've got our 70s music kind of playing in the background, and lots of interesting wines. Have Bald Diamond Road, and right on this road is a fire department right there if you can see it, and they have a fair there. Looks like they might be setting it up or taking it down. I might have missed it, or it might be coming. And that fair has been around as long as I can remember with its infamous beer tent. And they'll generally have a raffle there where they raffle off a pretty crazy thing for such a small town, like a 1968 Mustang or a 19 whatever Harley Davidson. I mean, I've seen some crazy raffles there for for fundraising for the fire department. There's Hector Wine Company there. Some beautiful, beautiful spots down through here. You pick cherries, and there's a cherry grove. Oh, what do we got here? There's the Dandy I talked about. Oh, they're moving something. There's the Dandy, my go-to coffee shop. And there was I forget his name, a colonel that marched through here and basically wiped out the Indians all through this area. Man, they should do a movie on that. And I guess some braves got together and attacked some village somewhere, and he came down with the military, and they basically cleared the land, cleared the way. And the Indians, as far as in their natural habitat, were no more. Here's a U-Pick seedless grape operation right there. Unbelievable grapes in there, and unbelievably inexpensive. There's the Stone Cat Cafe. You can get a real fine hamburger there, smash burger, and an Ithaca root beer, which is made north of here in Ithaca, New York, at Ithaca Brewery. And here's the Finger Lakes National Forest Ranger Station, and at some point we'll take a ride up in there. I'll hop on a little DR 650 or something, and we'll go ride up in the Hector National Forest. There's some exploring to do up there. It's some old growth forest, absolutely lovely place, and dirt roads, but they grate them off in the spring after the snow goes and the rain and the runoff happens, and they level them out, and lots of people, there's dispersed camping there. Used to be the Rainbow Festival would come through there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's kind of a hippie get-together, and they would make an encampment out there. It was quite a production. They haven't been there in years. There's a glimpse of the lake right there. Look at that old automobile. Here's the Grist Iron Brewing Company. They have a great pulled pork nachos there, and they have live music. They probably have live music tonight. This is a Friday. I'm riding through here right around 6 o'clock. I'm not going to be there, but someone's there. And they have, of course, their brewery, they have decent beer. I'm not really a huge fan of much beer around here. There's a few. There's a place called the Lucky Hare, which we've already passed, that does have excellent beer. Just, I don't know who the brewmaster is there, but that's the place to get beer. It's just a house that they turned into a bar, the lower part of it into a bar, and man, they could brew some beer. But most of the other places brewing beer here, I'm not incredibly fond of. Here's the Finger Lakes Distilling Company. So you can see there is a ton of things to do down my favorite road, 414. Through here, and we'll back her down a little bit. Of course, the speedometer's wildly off, just like every other motorcycle. We're riding the Kawasaki Versys 1000 today. Big old comfortable inline 4-cylinder. I'm sitting on a Corbin saddle. I've got my saddlebags on, my top box on. We're kind of doing the grandpa through here, and I keep it nice and subdued, which is tough to do when your bike is Kawasaki green and looks like it's fast just sitting still, even with its side bags and top bags on it, but we try. Silver Springs, there's a little winery. Here's the Solera Tap House. That used to be just called Cold Beer. It used to have a sign of a beer mug, just cold beer. That's what brought the people in, I guess. Blocked from our lake view through this little stretch, but yeah, they'll poke out in just a minute here, and its astounding self. There's the Elf in the Oak. That's an incredible little eatery with really super inventive food. It's hard to explain. You kind of got to experience it, but if they're going to do a grilled cheese, it's going to be grilled cheese like you've never had before, to give you an example. And I've never eaten anything there that I just didn't love. I don't know who the cook is there, but the Elf in the Oak is serious business for a sandwich or a plate. It's just really, really good food. We're about 10 minutes out from Watkins Glen now, and they're coming down the edge here. And in the fall, you can imagine this, it just lights up with color and makes it a little easier to see through the trees, and you get a little better view of the lake. We're kind of closed in right now as far as our view, but still just absolutely lovely. And you can see we're twisting and turning down through here. It's not some straight road. We've got some curves, and you know, you're riding your bike down through here. And this, of course, will be when I start doing the GPX map data. This ride and a couple, I'll point out the interesting things about it, but this ride will definitely be on that GPX packs. And here is Hector Falls, and beautiful falls. It looks a little drier than it was the last time I was down through here. It's we're getting to be in the middle of summer here and not so much rain, but when that thing's flowing, holy smokes, is it something to see. You see the rock formations here to my left, where they cut this road out of the hill to make it level, and that's sedimentary rock who knows over how many eons to create it. And there's a lot of shale in this area, a lot of fossils that you can find on these lake shores. It's a good fossil hunting place. Somebody's got a little place there, a little shed they live in there in the summer. The edge they carved out there. They must have bought like 1/100th of an acre and put that little shed and a little driveway up in there, which is cool, super cool. I love about these big 1000s. You can always lug them around corners. Of course, we got to come to a complete stop here, but I like to head way to the edge, and you'll see why in just a second. You got to look way up this hill to see if anybody's coming to mow you down. And here we go. And you can see people cut that corner pretty sharp, so you got to pay attention both ways. And here we go, down on Watkins Glen. And I'll take you through the edge of this town. It's just a charming town. And we're going to end up at a little ice cream shop here that I adore. It's been here forever. And that's where we'll that's where we'll cut you off. There's a little place to rent kayaks at right there. You can see the lake's pretty high still. See some boats out there moored up. And if you come to Watkins Glen to visit or a race or anything like that, this is what you'll expect as you come down off of 414 into Watkins. There's a little park here to my right, and they have pickleball courts in there that you can rent for $3 an hour. They've got a little skate park at the end for the kids, and there's geese walking around. A beautiful little spot, and there's campgrounds to my left. And it's the Clute Park, Warren Clute Memorial Park. And beautiful little spot. And you see the skate ramps right there. And the funny thing is, I've never seen anybody skate on those. Not ever. If you go to Ithaca, they have a skate park, and there's always skaters there. And here is Cargill Salt Mine. We're going to talk about Cargill Salt Mine. I don't know about Seneca Lake, but I got to think it's the same thing. But when we visit Cayuga Lake, which is coming up, a ride we're going to do, I learned that there's an entire city under Cayuga Lake, 2,700 feet underneath the bedrock of Cayuga Lake. Cayuga Lake's about 400 feet, and then underneath that, by about 2,700 feet, they have salt mines. And in those salt mines, they've got basically a whole city. It's the craziest thing. And I've been here forever, and I just learned about that. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And I got to think with the Cargill salt mine on this side, that entrance we just viewed, they probably have a city under Seneca Lake as well. And that's just crazy to me. But here we come into Watkins Glen, one of my favorite little towns. And this place during a race just lights up. You couldn't believe the amount of people that show up, and when they leave, it becomes its normal, charming little self. When they're here, it is just a buzz with activity, which is great. I love it. No, I'm not complaining a bit. I love people from all over the world and the cultures. Here we have Toby's Donut Shop to my left. If you get a chance, and it's so rare I hit it in the right time, but those are the best donuts ever. They're so good. They're just amazing. They're just impossible to describe. We've got Gerlando's Pizza off to my left, which has been around forever. Hey, we got a green light. Nice. Come on, guys. Get moving. Well, they got to wait for a little traffic. Let's see if we can keep our feet up. I think we can. Well, maybe not. Well, we didn't quite make it. Darn. Okay. Oh, nice. He's heading off. I wish he would have done that a little earlier. But we'll set her in neutral. Yeah. This is Watkins Glen. You can see it's just charming small town. And there's a lot to explore here if you're on motorcycle. There may be a point when I do tours and just get together, maybe a local campground and get some discounts and set up a whole tent thing and I'll lead tours around and we'll explore all these little nuances. Like I'm only taking you down Main Street, but I mean, this place you get above the racetrack and then there's Montour Falls right up the road. It's just one of the most beautiful waterfalls you've ever seen. There's just so much. I mean, maybe we'll do a ride around the entire lake. There's just so much to do and so much to see, as you can already see just by coming down 414. We're going to run this yellow because we can. The trucker wasn't so lucky. He had to stop. Here's a Colonial Motel right there. They have wood-fired pizza sometimes, and it's just excellent. They use the best ingredients there and just have a guy there just, tending to the fire and using that oven and just whipping them out. I think it's like $8 or $9 and you get a pie that'll feed 2 people. It's just unbelievable good. And I think you can get any kind of pie you want as long as it's a margarita pizza. And we're coming up on a pretty famous thing here. This is the Watkins Glen Gorge. And this gorge is one of the most beautiful walks you will ever go on. It takes you through a cave and around and underneath the lip of a waterfall. And it takes about an hour to walk that entire line. And you're walking through this creek that's carved itself down in some places, maybe 100 feet or more. And you'll end up at what they call Jacob's Ladder, which is the staircase that just never seems to end on the other side of the park. And it goes up and you can get yourself an ice cream cone or some water or whatever it is. But then you can catch a shuttle down or you can brave it back, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool. And you wouldn't believe this place, how it lights up when there's a race. I mean, as far as sports cars, and doesn't look like it's a race weekend here. It just looks like a weekend of people visiting. But when a race is in town, the amount of Corvettes or Porsches or Ferraris or Bugattis, it's just unreal, the amount of sports cars that come down, that descend on this little town. Of course, this little town was famous for racing through the streets. That's how it got its start as a racetrack. And all these streets here, like 15th Street and right in front of us to my left, some of them had little race cars on the description, and what that would be is a place where they had raced through the town, which is just crazy. But here we are. We're heading into the Glen Dairy Bar. 75 years of the Glen Dairy Bar. And I'm going to get myself an ice cream cone here and call this a done video. So I'm signing off. This is Howie. Till next time.